Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another controversial film review. Now, as the title says on my thing, it's a film that I was never going to bring to my channel because it's just something that never really appealed to me because of the depravity that goes on within the film. It just never appealed to me. There was two films and this is one of them. The other one is still off my list, but I've been watching a few lately. Been seeing a few reviews by reviewers that I respect, Mark Kermode and other reviewers that I respect, like about sort of films. And I thought, well, I'm a film reviewer, and I love horror movies, and I love sort of extreme exploitation films. So how can I just ignore something just because it's just something that's not really my sort of cup of tea? So I thought, well, I'm going to dive in and give it a go. And we're talking about the BFI release of Salo, okay, which is 120 Days of Sodom. So Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. This is directed by, is it Pier Paolo Pasolini? So it's an Italian film. This came out in the 1970s, early 1970s. And it's a film that's based around World War II in Nazi-occupied Italy. So it's based around the Italian sort of. There's a group of like Italian sort of fascists of these men and women. And I believe one of them keep calling the president. I don't know if it's the president of Italy or whoever it is, but he's a part of this unique sort of club, if you like. Anyway, it's based around this town called Salo, and you've got these a group of German soldiers and guys that seem to be capturing teenagers, sort of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old sort of teenagers, and capturing them, good-looking sort of men or boys and girls, women, and capturing them. And they take them to this house to show this group of like politicians and probably well-respected people in the community, these women and men, to show them to them, and they make the boys and the girls stand in front of them and undress them and stand there naked, and they're sort of like looking, yeah, you'll do, and like there's one scene where one girl's got like a little defect, one of her teeth is not right, so they sort of throw her out, which is probably the best thing to ever happen to her. I don't know if she got killed or what, but they just got rid. She was out. They only want ones that are sort of perfect for some sort of reason. So the first sort of 15-20 minutes of the film is us being introduced to these sort of children, or I can't call them children, I'm going to say teenagers, because they're not children, they're not like 8, 9, 10-year-olds, these are like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And we're getting introduced to them and to these sort of disgusting adults that are planning something. So we spend about 15-20 minutes being introduced to all these things, and we all see some sort of things like there's one lad tries to run away. He escapes from a van and runs across the field, and this German soldier with a machine gun just shoots him and kills him as he's running away. So there's no escape from wherever it's happening to them. And then they're taken to this big sort of mansion. It looks like quite deserted mansion. And then they arrive at this mansion, and all these teenagers stood out in the ground area, and up on the balcony is the group of adults. And now they're going to explain to them why they're there. So they said to them that they're here because they're going to be suffering the most depraved, disgusting acts ever known, and they can't escape. Or anything like that. If they try to escape, they'll be killed. If they do something wrong, they will lose a body limb and all this sort of thing. And so they are there solely to be tortured. And so the film then goes on to the next hour and 20, hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes of seeing these children being tortured, teenagers being tortured, and in the most disgusting ways. Okay, and most of them are sexual. There's a lot of sodomy going on. There's a lot of buggering going on. They get to do some disgusting things in the film to these disgusting men who find it funny, and these disgusting men do things to themselves and each other, and all this really, really horrible things go on, to the point where where excrement is involved, where they have to eat or drink or whatever, this sort of disgusting sort of things. And it's the most disgusting things you could ever think of. And then we get to the last act of the film, and this is when we get to the point where the tortures turn into sort of death, and we see that all these, they've got this black book, one of them that holds, and they've got this black book where the kids that are in it will get tortured to death at the end, and it's the most disgusting and vile ways I've ever seen people being treated. It's disgusting. And we've got all this going on, and it's almost like these adults are treating it like an experiment. And during all this sort of going on, that they all join at 6 o'clock in the evening in this hallway. The men have got all their own little groups of their little teenagers around them, and they have one of the women telling these sexual sort of stories about sort of things that they've experienced or whatever. These are women that are part of the group, the grown women. These adults are about 40, 50. They're not children. And they start telling these explicit sort of sexual stories, which seems to turn these men on. And then that's when they start being horrible and trying these horrible things to these teenagers. And if it doesn't work out for them, then the teenagers are sort of like killed. You've got teenagers sort of like on chains, you know, sort of like being dragged around like dogs. And all sorts of disgusting behaviour goes on in this film. And it is the most disgusting, disturbing, depraved film I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely shocking about how things are treated. And so these men are just sort of like pure evil. And you're just thinking, how can you even think these ways? How does any human being think of behaving this way and treating other human beings this way? And it is absolutely horrifying, and these men just laugh about it. And they're all strange. I mean, the guy that's like the president, he's cross-eyed, he's like that, you know, and it's bizarre. And he tries to say little jokes, which some of the jokes are quite funny. I did have a little giggle at some of the jokes he was saying, but it's a very strange sort of film to watch. When they're sitting down having dinner in the big hallway, something can kick off and a sexual act will happen, and others will watch and join in, and it's just really bizarre, really, really weird film. So Salo, 120 Days in Sodom, is the most disgusting, depraved, awful, dreadful film I've ever seen. But I still enjoyed it. To a point. I didn't enjoy any of that stuff I've been talking about, but I enjoyed the way it was sort of made, in the sense like the cinematography and the sort of setting was kind of like, it was a if you've seen it, you know what I mean. The setting of the film in this house, and these guys that were terrible, that acted really well, you know, great acting. And the poor kids, I mean, like when you get the film titles coming up, they're not named as people, they're called victims, male, victims, female. It's like that, and it was shocking, but there was still something that I took out of the film that I enjoyed. Probably the artistic side of it was more, of my opinion. Like, there's some really cool costumes in there. and stuff like that that the women were wearing, and things like that. It brought a sort of artistic sort of thing to it, and the way it's sort of filmed, where you got these almost political and businessmen sort of having these meetings, and they're all dressed in suits and ties, and it added some sort of just sort of artistic sort of merit to it. And the film did have some sort of merit to it, but then it was brought right down by its disgusting depravity, and seeing these people being treated these ways, these kids having to eat this sort of stuff, or the torture scenes at the end are the most disgusting scenes I think I've seen in any film. It's just vile. When you get to some of the sexual scenes, at the beginning, it's kind of dubbed down. You think, okay, they're not going to show it. But they do, later on in the film. And it's just like, oh my God, you know, and it's just like, it's a very difficult watch, and I would not recommend this film to anyone. But I'm going to score Salo an 8 out of 10. Now, that's quite a high score for a film I was disgusted by. But I still enjoyed the film as itself, as a story. It's kind of, it's like an early version of Saw, or an early version of Hostel. More like Hostel, you know, we got these rich men paying for these children to be tortured. That's no different to this, except this is more extreme. Hostel's more gory, but this is more extreme, in the sense of like the sexual side of stuff, and seeing the depraved ways that these people children were treated, you know, and stuff like this. So there you are. I never thought I'd bring this to my channel, but I have. Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. I don't think I'll ever watch this film again. I don't think so. This is a 2-disc set. It's got the movie, and it's got a disc of special features, which I will watch the special features to see, because I think there's quite a bit of stories behind the making of it, and the director and his ideas, and what made him sort of bring this to us. And you got to think to yourself, when you think about films like Schindler's List, and that tells you the depravity of the concentration camps, and other films that told you about the experiments that they've done on the sort of poor Jewish people during the war. This is kind of similar, but with Italian fascists doing it to their own. And it's kind of like, it's still disgusting. Oh, guys, I cannot recommend you to watch this film. It's something I really wouldn't recommend to you to watch. I gave it quite a high score because I enjoyed the sort of like the premise of the film. I didn't enjoy the acts or the stuff that took place in it. I enjoyed that premise because I love films like Saw, Hostel, and things like that. And I enjoyed the way it was shot. I thought it was wonderfully shot, really well filmed. The soundtrack on the sound, not the music, the soundtrack on there, it's got lots of sort of crackling noise in it, which I also really enjoyed, because it's of its age. You can watch it in Italian with English subtitles, or you can watch it dubbed in English. I watched it dubbed. I just thought I don't want to be trying to concentrate on that. So I watched the dub version, and it was really well done dubbed. There's just some sort of it's really sad for me to say, but I got some enjoyment out of the film. I enjoyed the film to an extent where I thought I was going to watch it for like 10 minutes and turn it off. Well, no, it's not going to be for me. But I sat through the whole thing, and I thought, as a piece of art, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really well made. Like I said, I loved the premise of the story. I hate every single act that took place in the story. I hate every sort of thing that they did to the teenagers in the film. It was disgusting. And I still think there's other ways they could have done that part of the film. But there we go. And that's what it is. Guys, thank you for watching that. So that's the second film of our controversial film. week. We've got one more film to go, and that's going to be in the next few days. Until then, check out some more horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man View Film, RS Designs, Pizzlewell, I'm the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Haunted, Grumpy Angel's Haunted House, and a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves. Don't watch this, and I hope I'll see you all soon.